Welcome to the Heidi Thorne Show. I'm your host, Heidi Thorne, and in this podcast, I share my real-world self-publishing and small business experience with you. Before we get started, I just want to remind you to like, comment, share, follow, and subscribe. Now let's get on with today's show. An author friend of mine said she's begun using an artificial intelligence ghostwriter or AI writing assistant called Jasper. You tell Jasper what you want to write, and the AI will write it for you. While my friend said she uses it to completely write routine type communications, she also started to use it for rough drafting of longer works too. Of course, she edits what the robot writes, but it helps her get those ideas out of her head and into a rough draft so much easier and faster. As an author, I'm sure your head is spinning right now with a lot of questions and concerns about how tech like this will impact you and the industry. So what does an AI writing assistant do? An AI writing assistant functions like a robot ghostwriter. You tell the program what you want to write about, along with any stylistic elements or tone that you'd prefer. For example, you can tell it to write in a certain style of writing or speaking. It then generates written copy according to your parameters. I'm reminded of the Star Trek The Next Generation episode, Elementary, My Dear Data, where Geordi asked the holodeck computer to create a game scenario in the Sherlock Holmesian style that could beat Data, the android, as an opponent. The types of writing this AI tech can accomplish is extensive. Ad and marketing copy, sales letters, blog posts, video scripting, social media posts, and even books. The robot written copy can then be edited prior to publishing. Note that with rare exception, these services have costs. Some could be hundreds or thousands of dollars a year. If it's a free service, it's usually a limited use or it's a free trial. So how does the AI writing assistant know how and what to write? From the research I've done on the Jasper program, the AI-based program has read about 10% of the entire internet. That's quite a chunk of the internet, even if 10% doesn't sound like a lot. Based on analysis of all that content and data, the AI writing assistant predicts what a customer might want to write. If you use Gmail, you might have seen how this kind of thing might work in action on a very limited scale. You start typing a sentence, and Gmail suggests the rest of what you might want to say. It's often quite accurate, though I've found it to be a little on the verbose side. Is the AI writing assistant just stealing content from the internet? No, they're not supposed to, but it may happen inadvertently and maybe in some small way. Jasper, for example, says that their program is plagiarism free. However, the Copyscape plagiarism checker is provided for an extra fee if you'd want some more assurance that you're not stealing any copy. Using a program that includes or offers plagiarism protection would be preferred. Here's where things get muddy legally on two specific points: human authorship and work for hire. As for human authorship, the U.S. Copyright Office says that only, quote, an original work of authorship is a work that is independently created by a human author and possesses at least some minimal degree of creativity. In the past, I've discussed Google Books' auto-narration program for audiobooks and how Amazon's ACX audiobook platform for Audible requires a human narrator. But these audiobook issues are completely different issues, since Google's auto-narration is merely a robot reading a work, but not creating a work. The issue of AI writing assistants is so much more complex. As AI continues to evolve, cases are going to go to court arguing about copyright ownership for creative works created by AI. Similar cases involve the selfie photos that animals might take with the help of technology. Some of the more famous cases include monkeys who have taken selfies. With the photos, it's the person, note I said person, who clicks the shutter that is the owner of the copyright. But what would an animal do with a copyright? Is the owner of the animal also the owner of the copyright? How about the owner of the picture-taking equipment, which may or may not be the owner of the animal? Most outcomes of these claims are that the animals cannot hold copyrights. The U.S. Copyright Office holds that these photos belong in the public domain. But if the animal's owner or the person who owns the photo equipment wants compensation or rights for these photos, are they entitled to any? Would the AI writing assistant be in the same scenario as a monkey? So much monkey business. In the case of AI writing assistants, we have a whole new can of legal worms as it relates to work for hire arrangements. Is the AI writing assistant service acting in a work for hire arrangement with an author? If so, that's not much different than an author who hires a ghostwriter. In the ghostwriter case, the author has engaged the ghostwriter in a work for hire arrangement. The author holds the copyright. Or is the AI writing assistant just a machine that facilitates authors in their work? I did reach out to Jasper's support team, who clarified that subscribers to their service have 100% of the rights to the work created with their service. That may not always be the case, and may not be the case for all of these AI writing assistant services. So make sure you understand the terms of service and contact the service for clarification. But that still doesn't address the copyright eligibility issue. In 2022, the U.S. Copyright Office denied registration for copyright for one particular AI-generated artwork for a second time. That story is fascinating. Do a search for Dr. Stephen Thaler's AI-generated artwork, A Recent Entrance to Paradise. Just as animal selfies may be considered public domain works, would AI-generated writing also be public domain? That's a big problem for authors who want to make money from their writing. Is an author using these services actually the author? If your readers found out you hired a robot to help you write significant portions of your book, would they think you're a cheater or devalue your work? I'm going to play devil's advocate here, but we have to wonder how a self-publishing platform such as Kindle Direct Publishing or even the U.S. Copyright Office would determine if a manuscript in electronic format such as a Word document was, in whole or in part, AI-generated, human-generated, or a combination of both. It could be hard to tell. For right now, as a writer, I think using AI writing assistants for routine business like marketing copy or social media posts is a great use of the tech. But for creative work for which I want to hold copyright, I'm a little less enthused, at least until legal precedents for copyrights on AI-generated content are more firmly established. I'd also like to see how readers and society at large accept or reject AI-generated or assisted works over time. This is still in an early adoption phase, even if the technology is evolving rapidly. Will AI writing assistants put ghostwriters out of business? At some point in the future, after the legalities and societal norms of using AI writing assistants are sorted out, I do think authors may consider both human and AI ghostwriters. However, I believe that we're not there yet. Not because a robot can't do as good as a human, but because the laws governing rights of human versus AI-generated creative work will take time to develop. And how will you know if your ghostwriter is using one of these AI writing assistants? Will you require that this be disclosed? Would it make a difference to you if the ghostwritten book is a good end product? These are philosophical and ethical issues that we as a creative community and as a society will need to wrestle with. I'm looking forward to the landmark court cases. I hope you found that helpful or at least interesting. And if you did, please rate, review, and subscribe to The Heidi Thorne Show on whatever podcast app you like to use. I'm on all the major ones, including Apple Podcast and Spotify. If you like the YouTube video better, all you have to do is subscribe to my Heidi Thorne YouTube channel and turn on that notification bell so you get an alert when a new video is up. I would appreciate it if you would share either the audio or the video with your friends on social media. My self-published books are available on Amazon, Audible, and Apple Books. All you have to do is go to one of those sites, search for my name, Heidi Thorne, and a list of all available titles will be shown. If you'd like to connect with me, my website is HeidiThorne.com. Thank you so much for listening and for your support. I'll look forward to talking with you again in the next episode, and in the meantime, have a great day.